Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Friday, February 23rd, and we are here trying to help you make good financial decisions for wherever you are. And I really want to emphasize that, where you are, not where anyone else is. It is very important for me that we are responding to what is going on in your life. And I get it. We listen to these stories from everyone else. They're interesting. But if you want a little bit more help that is more customizable to your situation, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. I know we don't do this for a living, but Mark and I are both CFPs. We do the best we can with the information you give us, and hopefully you're helped with that information. Today, we're talking to Philip, who's on the line from Chicago. Welcome, Philip. How are you today?
I am well, Jill. How are you?
Doing great. Now, the reason I am so excited is that right before we got on the air, I noticed from Philip's signature line that he's actually a shrink. So I feel like we're about to have a very interesting conversation about money and emotions. And you can do some therapy on us as well. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right. So what brings you onto the program today? Give everyone the background and what is it that got you on the air today that you want to talk about?
Yeah, so recently I've heard about you talking with some listeners about if they're on track or not. And I kind of feel like I'm in the boat of an aggressive spender and almost obsessively, or it's not spender, saver, and obsessively so. And I'm just wondering, like, am I saving too much? And then also just I had some questions about kind of rebalancing and how to decide when you need to start going into more conservative, allocations and whatnot.
Okay, that sounds great. First of all, how old are you, Philip?
I'm 43.
Okay, and you work full time, right?
I do, and then I have a side hustle that actually produces more income than my full-time job.
Whoa, how much do you make on the full-time job?
About $90,000.
Okay, and the side hustle?
About $125 a year.
Okay, so you're an aggressive saver. Tell us the kind of retirement saving that you are doing for both of these chunks of income.
I get a 403B and a 457 through my employer. So I max those out every year. And actually just found out that my organization is going to be going to a Roth version of that. So I plan on doing, Roth 403B, Roth 457. So that'll be nice. I also have an HSA through my employer. And then I also have a Roth and a traditional IRA, just from kind of like past lives. And then I have a brokerage account. And then I have various other accounts, like things like Acorns and whatnot, stuff like that. So I don't know if you want me to tell you my numbers for each of those accounts.
Hold on a second. Are you making any contributions from the side hustle income?
That's pretty much all going into my brokerage account.
Okay. Yeah. So let's do the basics now. Tell us how much money is in your Roth. Let's start with your Roth IRA, your traditional IRA, and we'll go then to the 403B and the 457.
All right. The Roth, I have $119,000 there.
Okay.
The traditional, I have $191,000.
Mm-hmm.
The 403B, I have $49,000. The 457, I have $53,000.
Okay.
And in the HSA, I have about $13,000.
Great. And the brokerage, like if you give me the brokerage, do you want to do all those other accounts and just sort of throw it all in together? Like the brokerage plus?
Yeah, the Acorns and all that. That's looking at about $255,000.
Great.
I have cash of about $133,000.
Rent or own?
I own. I have $112,000 left on my mortgage at 3.125%.
What's the place worth?
Probably about $270,000.
Are you single, partnered, married, anything?
Partnered, but we live apart, and we don't combine financial sources yet.
You've got a whole bunch of money saved. You're a very young guy. And, I'm in my experience with therapists, they do that for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Do you have any aspirations about early retirement, some retirement, when you want?
Yes.
What's our goal here?
Yeah, so I work in a school full time, and while it's lovely on many fronts, it's really challenging work. So I would like to kind of phase out of the school job within the next 7 years, maybe around 50, because this is my pension eligible year, so I will get somewhat of a pension later on. And I think just given what I earn in my side hustle, I could just do that, easily sustain my kind of lifestyle, plus put some money away still. and kind of let the money that I already have ride until I'm ready to take that out in my late 50s.
If you were to retire from the school at age 50, you said you'd be entitled to a pension. Would you be entitled to health care also?
No, but I think that's where the wonderful partnership that I'm in would come into play.
Oh, you mean I'm only going to get married for the insurance? This feels like a New York story, Mark. Like it's like we used to say, well, I guess, if I have to give up my apartment, that would be the one thing. That would the only reason I'd get married, just to, it's a real estate transaction.
It is going down that track. It's just there's no need for that yet. But, there's no signs of that, changing. So I think, by that time, yes, we will be cohabitating and I would be eligible for his insurance benefits.
All right, this sounds like a great plan. I think you're doing a ton of saving. I think doing the Roth eventually will be great. I mean, look, you don't have to kill yourself on the side hustle if you're doing it because you like it and you're building a business, sort of developing that business. I think that's fine. I'm guessing that even if you just had, let's wind the clock forward. Let's say you're 50. And in today's dollars, obviously you could support yourself on $100,000 a year, right? That's pretty easy. Yep. And even if at that time in 7 years you had $100,000 and the only thing you were doing was putting, I'm going to guess, like 10 or 15%, you've already done a lot of the heavy lifting. I mean, you don't have a ton saved for retirement, but you do have a bunch, and you are going to be hyper aggressive in the next 7 years. Like the 403B and the 457 are going to be very quickly built up. What is the guesstimate of your pension benefit if you were to leave it 50 and you wait to tap that until, let's say, you're 65-ish? What would the monthly pension benefit be?
I don't know. I'm probably not much, maybe $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
Wait a minute. That's not that much. Oh. That's actually a real number.
Okay.
The reason I say that is that, that's a number that can provide a little bit of relief from feeling like you have to oversave in the 50 to 60s, in terms of retirement, because that does take a lot of the pressure off. Who knows what's going to happen with your real estate, whether you move in with partner moves in with you, but chances are the housing costs are going to be pretty minimal. You just don't have a lot of money left on your mortgage. Mm-hmm. So I think you sound like you're in really, like when you say, am I on track? Yes, you are on track because you are an aggressive saver. Look, you'll figure this out. It might be that at age 50, you're like, you know what? I'm done. Or you might be like, hey, you know what? I'm fine. I'm going to stay. But you don't have to stay. And I think that's a lovely goal to have. Once you do get to age 50, I think the pressure is going to be off to do hyper amounts of saving like you're doing right now. Because you will be doing it in this. I mean, look, basically you're taking advantage of this time horizon where you have the cash flow and you're socking it away. I think it's awesome. It's just great. Now, what about you saying that you're very aggressive in your in terms of like the actual allocation? Like what's going on for you?
Aunt Jill, you're not going to be happy with this, but I'm
happy already. I love you because you're great. Because first of all, it's not bad to be aggressive. I want everyone to hear that. I am a wimp. It's not bad to be aggressive at all. That's just my personality. I would rather take risk in my career rather than in my portfolio. You could take all the risk you want as long as you're okay with it. So tell me, like, what are you doing?
Well, I'm pretty much 100% equities. I do have a managed fund through Fidelity that they do tax loss harvesting for me that basically tracks the S&P 500. So I pay 0.65% on that, hoping that like that's worth it for me to get the tax benefits from that. I'm not really sure.
I mean, it's not that hard to do, but yourself. But if you want them to do it, that's fine. Is that where most of these assets are held at Fidelity?
Yeah, they are.
When you say 100%, is it all U.S. equities or is it other stuff? Like, what's in there?
They're buying all this stuff for me. They're following the S&P 500, so I'm not really sure exactly. I own so many companies now because it's not just an index fund, But in terms of like my like traditional and Roth, like they're pretty much just I think they're just U.S. S&P 500 index funds. Same thing with the 457 and the 403B. Though I am thinking of doing some just like small cap and emerging market stuff.
Yeah, why not? And international, any international for you?
I don't think outright. I don't know. I've always kind of thought that international still gets encompassed by the S&P 500 just because of our kind of power globally. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I mean, look, if you're going to add other asset classes, here's some to consider. Obviously, the reason to add a small bond portfolio position is just that, it will not cost you that much in terms of upside, and it will smooth a little of the ride up. But if you really don't care, then fine. I mean, you've lived through market cycles already because, you've now been investing probably for, 15, 20 years. So
Right.
you know that bad things can happen. I wouldn't mind just having a 10% position in bonds. I don't know. I'm wimpy. I have no judgment around it. I'm amazed and I'm sort of envious when people can take on that risk because I just don't have it in me. I'm such a wimp.
I just, in terms of the bond fund and that allocation, I've always just kind of thought, isn't the whole point of smoothing that ride so that as you get closer to needing that money, basically. So if I know that if I can earn enough to not have to dip in, even in my 50s, why wouldn't I stay in 100% equities? What is the point of the fund?
Because most people don't have the wherewithal to hang in there when the blank is hitting the fan. That's the real reason why. So if I look at, I just happen to have this. I don't know why. Thank goodness I save all this crap. I'm just looking at the Vanguard did a portfolio allocation risk reward from 1926 to 2020. Okay. If you're 100% stocks from 1926 to 2020, average annual return 10.3%. Okay. That's for 1926 to 2020. When I look at the 80-20 portfolio on an annual return basis, so 80 stocks, 20% bonds, the average annual return, instead of getting 10.3 with a 20% bond position, it's 9.8. It's a half a percentage point. Okay. Now for you might be like, oh, I want that half percentage point. For most human beings, they are like, I like having a little bit less of a ride. It's really interesting to me to see wow, actually having a model that is a little bit less stock does not kill me. It really doesn't. Anyway, so that I give that to you as you can do with it as you wish. You can be 100% stocks. I think statistically over time you'll win as long as you don't get freaked out.
Right. Well, and like you said, I plan on doing at least just my own private practice as long as I can, well into my retirement years, just on a part-time basis. So I think I'll always just be okay on the cash front.
I think you're in great shape. You have your will. You have a power of attorney. You have a healthcare proxy.
I do.
If you've got a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. Hey, don't forget, check out our YouTube show. It's called Jill on Money, powered by the Compound. It has been a blast. You can subscribe to Jill on Money on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And if you would not mind, please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen. It's Friday, so that means we do some business. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer and web king. We are distributed by Odyssey. Please do something nice for someone else today. It's going to make that person feel good, and it's going to make you feel really good. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.